I'm here today with Mark Wilson from Ditjet, a company I'm involved in. Mark is the inventor of an automated subsoil drainage installation system. Mark, tell us a little bit about the Ditjet machine.
It's a machine for laying subsoil drainage in the civil and agricultural industries. The subsoil drainage system is used to drain water from the subgrades of roads, airports, etc., major civil constructions.
And why is that important?
It's important because you get, over prolonged periods of a wet season, the subgrade of the road, which is under the bitumen, gets moisture in it. And because it's got clay content, it expands and becomes spongy. And especially with the volumes of traffic we have these days and the weights of the trucks that we have there, quite quickly we can break up the surface of the road and cost millions and millions of dollars. At present, the subsoil drainage is installed manually in the civil construction. They dig a trench, they lay a geofabric in the trench, they put 100 ml of gravel in there, then they introduce the ag pipe, which is a slotted drain, then they top it up with gravel, and then they fold the geofabric back over.
In terms of the efficiency of your product, how does it compare to current operations?
Well, currently they dig the trench, then they do that with a trenching machine, or on smaller jobs they'll do it with an excavator. Then they lay the geofabric in the trench and stake it out along its length, stop the fabric falling in. Then they lay 100 ml of gravel along the bottom, if that's what the engineers called for. Then they'll lay the pipe, the ag line, into the bottom of the trench and try to keep it central. Then they'll come along and they'll fill the trench full of gravel, which is another pass, and when they fill the trench full of gravel on that pass, it knocks the pipe around, it goes from side to side, it lifts, it floats, it doesn't maintain its engineered level. And then lastly they unstake the fabric and then they manually fold it over. So, you know, they've got the digging of the trench, they've got the laying of the fabric, they've got the first run of gravel under the pipe, they've got the laying of the pipe, they've got to put the gravel back in to fill the trench up, then they've got to fold the fabric.
6 passes?
6 passes, and I can do it in one.
And so how does your device work?
It works by introducing the geofabric. First of all, the trench is dug.
Okay.
It can be dug by an excavator or by a trenching machine. First of all, they dig that, and then this machine can be pulled along by a excavator, or it can be attached as a tag along behind a trenching machine.
Okay. So, Mark, on the commercial front, how are things progressing?
At present, I'm approaching major trenching manufacturers that make the trenching machines, that dig the trenches, to see if they're interested in attaching it as a tag along to their equipment. Thus, as the trench is dug, the drain is laid.
So am I right, you've got a sort of dual commercialisation strategy where you're pitching for jobs locally and you're licensing the technology internationally?
That's correct.
And so for the local construction contractors that are looking at your technology, what sort of features of the technology are most attractive to them?
What's most attractive to them is because the nature of drainage, with the old method of putting it in manually, when they put the 100 ml of gravel in and then the pipe and then they top it up with gravel, what happens is the gravel's going in, the pipe tends to float, so it doesn't maintain that engineered level that's desired in drainage. So this system overcomes that, and also what is most appealing to them is the speed of installation.
In terms of your commercial approach, what are the main avenues you're using to bring your technology to market?
I'm using 2 avenues. I'm using licensing and distribution one arm being a licensing and distribution system,
Okay.
which is I'm approaching major manufacturers of trenching machines
Okay.
to see if they want to encompass it into their machine.
Primarily overseas companies, or?
Overseas companies in the US and the UK.
Okay.
The second arm of it is the service of laying the pipe. It's a huge industry, and we're looking to basically corner the market in laying the pipe. So we'll produce the machine on one hand, and we'll actually lay the pipe. So we'll manufacture and service the product to the major construction companies.
I understand you've been in discussions with local construction contractors. What are some of the advantages those contractors are seeing with your technology over current methods?
What has got them interested is, from the engineering point of view, it's far superior to the manual method of laying because of the nature of the floating pipe. As you top up the drain,
right,
the pipe ends up floating and doesn't maintain the engineered level. So from an engineering point, the engineers that I've spoken to with these major principal contractors are very excited that they can achieve the drain that they want to protect the asset that they're building.
And so your patent application is now up to the international stage.
Yep.
Thinking back a year or so to when your provisional was first being prepared, do you have any sort of, was there anything about that patent preparation process that you found particularly interesting or unexpected?
I found the whole process interesting from an intellectual point of view. I love designing, I love solving problems, which I've done from my building background as a carpenter.
Okay.
And when it came to dealing with the intellectual property side, I'd done a little bit of law. I used to be a ranger, and I found it quite interesting and quite informative what Baxter IP brought to the table in just making it very open, very easy to talk, very easy to discuss what my fears were, what my expectations were.
And what were some of those concerns you had in the early stages?
That I really had something that was different to take to market.
Yeah.
I knew that there was an application for it, but the process of putting that onto paper is, when I look back on it and look at the size of the PCT, the patent
application,
it's quite daunting, and I've started to understand that it needs to be described in so many different ways.
Right.
That I'm very happy with the job that Baxter IP have done in covering all aspects of my invention. That there is security in that, and I feel peace with that.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Mark, so much for your time in coming in.
Yep.
You can learn more about Mark's technology at ditjet.com.au.